One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is just not the same.
If someone were to ask me why I am so obsessed with stories and tales and reading, I guess the easy answer would be because
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. Hope you're all well. It is I, Manjalal, writer, reader, speaker, thinker of things, bookish things, bizarre things, pop culture things, social construct things, reading things, writing things, perspective things, things about things. Things are important. Anyway, I'm just gonna get straight to it today. I am here to talk to you guys about this whole Aladdin live action movie thing that imploded all over the internet, and it felt like all over the world last month. Now, I know that I am a little bit late to the game, but I needed some time to think about things. So I'm gonna start off with a disclaimer. This video is gonna be a long one, and it's gonna be a little bit detailed because, number one, I am a very big fan of Aladdin, the movie, and the original folktale. B, I am a huge advocate for reinterpreting and reimagining stories that we already know. 3, I am quite invested in these characters. 4, I have an avid interest in how Arabs are depicted in the media and in pop culture specifically. C, D, E, number 5, I just want to. So put your seatbelts on, earphones, a little bit of tea, chocolate bar, and enjoy. So for those of you who don't know, finally, after waiting what feels like forever, the cast members of the Aladdin live action film have been announced. They're all fairly newcomers, and they are Mina Masood, who's playing Aladdin, Naomi Scott, who's playing Princess Jasmine, Marwan Kenzari, who's playing Jafar, and Will Smith, who's playing the genie. Now, there has been a huge fuss online on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and lots of articles written about people's reaction to the casting announcement. Some people were incredibly happy with the cast, some people were not. I would say that most people were not particularly happy with one specific casting. Who could it be that makes no sense in this cast? Initially, I wrote an op-ed piece for the paper, which I'm gonna link down below this video, about my thoughts and feelings about this whole thing. But since then, I've had a lot of different thoughts, and before I wanted to say anything else online or make this video, I wanted to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and really analyze the details of not only the 1992 Disney film, but also the original folktale of Aladdin. And I wanted to think about what we should be excited about and what we should be concerned about moving forward, and what Hollywood is most likely gonna do. So first of all, I really have no idea, no one does, what this live action film is based on. Is it gonna be based on the animated movie of 1992 by Disney, or is it gonna be based more on the folktale, or is it gonna be a mesh of both, or is it gonna be something completely different? People are speculating, but we're not sure, so I just want you guys to keep that in mind as I continue talking. Talk. I have always been a huge fan of the Aladdin movie ever since I was a kid. Just look at my Facebook cover photo. It's pretty embarrassing. And I also grew up, like hundreds and hundreds of kids, not only in the Middle East, but also probably across the world, across many generations, hearing the original Aladdin folktale that first appeared in the 1001 Nights book. What I love about the Aladdin story, depending on the version, of course, that you know, is this whole rags to riches and back to rags plot. I've always loved the fact that Aladdin comes from nothing, and through his bravery and good heart and sheer luck, he gets his hands on this immense power, which is the lamp and the genie, which gives him everything he ever desired, from material things as well as status and class. And love, of course. Well, he tries anyway. However, and there's always a however, when he possesses everything he desires, he realizes that they are more trouble than they're worth, and that they don't actually matter. In fact, he doesn't want any of it anymore. All he wants is to be accepted for who he is, and not to forget his roots, and to just be himself. Aww, Aladdin. That moral tale, I think, is very telling, and anyone can really learn from it, right? Right. So Disney, God bless their soul, they do try. Good intentions, I like to think. So that Disney film has that exact same plot structure, that moral theme that runs through the movie. But it also includes a lot of action and a lot of comedy, which is great. I love that movie. I know the dialogue by heart. I know all the songs by heart. I love Robin Williams as the genie. He's probably one of my favorite characters. And I really, really liked Aladdin. I thought he was so cool and brave and hilarious and funny. And I just thought the film was great. I'd watched it over 100 times, I'd say. It wasn't until I was older and became more in tune and aware with how Arabs and Muslims exist in the landscape of pop culture and how they're framed in the media that I looked back at films like Aladdin and saw that we were not painted in the best light at all. So Aladdin, our hero of the film, is very Western, or actually very Americanized, in his attitude, in his humor, in his dialogue, while as the villains of the movie are depicted as very Arab. They are very Arab looking, sounding, Arab acting, from the merchant in the beginning of the movie and Jafar. All of them are caricatures that depict this very vilified, very negative idea of what an Arab is. Even the city of Agrabah, which by the way is a fictionalized city that Disney curated that doesn't exist in the Middle East. You'd be surprised how many people from the West have actually asked me if I am from Agrabah or have ever been to Agrabah. No jokes. So even the city of Agrabah was created and influenced by two very different cities that actually exist that are incredibly different from one another. Baghdad in Iraq during the Golden Islamic Age, and the ancient city of Agra in India. And that's how Disney came up with the name Agrabah. Baghdad and Agra. Mesh them together and you get Agrabah. So the fact that they derived inspiration from two very different cities that have two very different cultures is not good. It's actually really stupid. Let's be clear. India and Iraq, Asia and the Middle East are two very different places with two very different cultures. They each deserve their own different interpretation and depiction in the media and in pop cultures and in films and in literature. I'm sure many of you know this, and if you don't, I'm about to tell you. One of the very first opening lines in the Aladdin 1992 animated film is a song by The Merchant, and it describes the world, the environment, the culture from which Aladdin comes from. The line of the song goes a little something like this. I'm not gonna sing it, so don't worry. Where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home. Why? Why? I don't understand. Why? Why would you have that in a children's animated film? The very first thing in a children's animated film. Why would you do that? How did that even get okayed by anyone? It boggles the mind. And here we are, like idiot, brainwashed children, singing that line along with the song over and over again, having no idea that we're actually insulting ourselves. Ridiculous. By the way, if you have the DVD version of the movie, that line has actually been changed after a lot of Arab Americans protested that it is highly offensive. One of those very prominent Arab Americans, of course, that spearheaded this protest was Jack Shaheen, who I'm going to be doing a video about at a later date. He's a personal hero of mine, by the way. The same ignorance and racism and stupidity and whitewashing and offensiveness and Orientalism seeps its way throughout that film in very subtle, different ways. And even now as an adult, when I watched that film, yeah, I enjoy it because it was a huge part of my childhood. I can't help but see all of those offensive digs and remarks and ignorance. And maybe this wouldn't be such a huge deal if the film Aladdin wasn't a part of this huge history of Hollywood where Arabs have been vilified over and over again in depictions as characters and as storylines and as people. Now, I can get into so much more detail about these very different oxymoronic depictions of Arabs in movies in Hollywood, but I really don't have time for it. It's insulting, it's offensive, it's derogatory, it's vilifying, it's laughable. And I think the worst depiction I've seen in modern times is the film Sex and the City 2. That movie needs a whole other video just to describe how offensive and racist it is. It's pretty terrible. And it's sad because I'm quite jaded about how Arabs are depicted in film and in TV shows over the past 20 years, 50 years, I don't know, 100 years. It's like every time you see an Arab or an Arab family in a movie, for some reason, they're drinking tea. Actually, it's funny, Mom has like so many of these. Apparently, all we eat is hummus and kebabs and halloumi cheese and tabbouleh and fattoush and chocolate-covered dates. It's ridiculous. Not everybody loves chocolate-covered dates. It's funny though, because I actually have some dates. This is actually really good. I actually just have these in my pocket. No joke. Because I'm Arab, so obviously I have dates on me all the time. The women are always in the kitchen cooking while the men are sitting in the living room under a cloud of shisha smoke and I don't know, like playing with those prayer beads. It's ridiculous. I actually have quite a few of these. And when I'm by myself, I do this. Because I'm really Arab. Yeah. So Arab. Ow. Dangerous, these things. And no matter what, there's always a plate of baklava and someone's always talking about baklava and yummy Arab desserts and sweets. It's ridiculous. These are so good though. These are just in the kitchen, like in the pantry. We have like 10 boxes of them because we're Arab. My favorite one actually is the one with pistachios because Arabs love pistachios and I'm Arab. And we love pomegranates as well. Oh, this is so good. Okay, enough. Enough living up to the actual stereotypes that are out there. So good. Now I need a shisha because I'm so Arab. Shisha. Pomegranate flavor. Exotic. Anyway, you guys catch my drift. You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this. You're catching what I'm throwing. We're cool. Right? Yep, cool. So, fast forward to 2017. When I heard that Aladdin was getting the live action treatment, I was excited, I was weary, I was intrigued, I was interested. And then when I heard that Guy Ritchie was going to be directing the movie, I was weirded out, shocked, surprised. For those of you who don't know Guy Ritchie, he's done some really interesting films. Snatch, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., or is it The Man from U.N.C.L.E.? Uncle, whatever. First and second Sherlock Holmes. So he's done some very gritty films as well as some very stylized films. So I thought it was a very interesting, weird choice. And I was excited to see where he was going to go with the film. Closely after that, they released a casting call for actors, and I specifically remember the casting call asking for actors of Middle Eastern descent because these characters are Middle Eastern. Underline, highlight, bold. This gave me hope. It really did. It gave me hope for Middle Eastern actors who can act, who can dance, who can sing. I thought maybe Hollywood is finally learning from all its recent whitewashing disasters. The examples are way too many to list right now. Okay, look. We all know that right now Arabs and Muslims don't look good. We don't look good, we're not represented correctly. So in a way, I kind of pitied Guy Ritchie. He has taken on a huge responsibility to create a film that is not going to offend Arabs and Muslims, that is going to live up to the original animated film that people are obsessed with, that is going to please the masses in the West, as well as in the East, while still being entertaining, funny, light, and visually brilliant. That's a lot of pressure. It's actually a lot of financial pressure as well. At one point, before they announced the official cast, there were a lot of rumors going online that Disney was finding it difficult to find the right kind of actors for the film. So there was a lot of discussion about different Indian and Arab actors who should be playing these roles. Dev Patel, Rez Ahmed, Priyanka Chopra, and then another whole different conversation and argument exploded online on whether or not Aladdin and Princess Jasmine should be played by Arab or Indians. Fair question. Like I said, the original Aladdin folktale first appeared in the 1001 Nights book or compilation of stories. For those of you who don't know, the 1001 Nights is a collection of short stories and folktales that have been collected from all across the Middle East and the Orient and recorded in Arabic. Now this might shock some Arabs who are watching this, so prepare yourself. In the original Aladdin folktale that appears in the 1001 Nights, Aladdin is set in a city of China, and Aladdin himself is Chinese. It's true. Google it. So does that mean that the live action film should be cast with only Chinese actors? It kind of makes sense, but it also doesn't. And here's the reason why. Stories have a way of growing and becoming something much bigger than what they actually are. They take a life of their own and they adapt and change depending on language and culture and times, and they continuously grow and are just like a living thing. Once you put a story out there, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to everyone, kind of. So somehow along the way, and even before Disney decided to go with that tale, the story of Aladdin just became known as an Arab story with Arab characters based in a fictional Arab city. So Disney, although they failed at doing this, tried to create this Arab Oriental city that's in fact based on two very different cities, like I said before, Baghdad and Agra. Kind of in my head, created this fictional city of Agra that combines Arab and Indian aesthetics and people. Kind of like a lot of cities across the Gulf, like Dubai, which has a very strong population of Indians and very strong population of Arabs. So in my head, it was feasible that if an Indian actor was cast to play one of the characters, depending which character really, and as long as it made sense within the story and within this fictional Agrabah that was created kind of by accident, it was okay. So I wouldn't have had much of an issue if Dev Patel, who by the way I think would have been great as Aladdin, was cast to play Aladdin. I also think me and Dev Patel are friends because I interviewed him 2 years ago when he was in Dubai for the film festival, and I got a photo with him. By the way, he's like 10 feet tall, and I didn't realize that when we were talking and sitting down. And then when I stood up to take a photo, I realized he was a giant, and I felt like a 5-year-old boy. True story. So before they announced the official cast, all I really was hoping for was Middle Easterns or Arabs being represented in the cast as the main characters and not just the villain. And if Indians were included within that cast lineup, I was okay with that. But I wanted the line to be drawn between who was Arab and who was Indian. I wanted it to make sense within the story. I wanted us as the viewers, as the audience, to understand that these are Arabs and these are Indians, and that brown people are not interchangeable within the cast. Make sense? Kind of? And most importantly, I didn't want a Caucasian actor to be playing the role of an Arab or an Indian. That would just be a disaster. It makes absolutely no sense. At all. So I could stand here right now and make a lot of excuses for Guy Ritchie and Disney. I could stand here and say that yes, it's very difficult to find two actors that can act very well, that can sing up to Broadway level, that can dance, that have great chemistry with one another as well. There is nothing worse than watching a movie with a love story with two actors that have absolutely no chemistry on screen. Nothing worse. So I understand that that is an obstacle, that these are issues that as a director, producer, casting person that you will face. However, I cannot fathom, I cannot believe that it is impossible to find two actors who share a similar cultural background, who are both supposed to be representing the Middle East, that just don't have chemistry. It cannot be that difficult. So what ended up happening? Well, like I said, for the millionth time, the cast had been announced, and I'm gonna go through them one more time. Mina Mas'ud, the Canadian Egyptian actor, is playing Aladdin. Now, when I first saw Mina Mas'ud, I thought, yep, he could be Aladdin. He looks the part, he sounds the part, he just fits right in. Good job. Then there was Naomi Scott as Jasmine. Like Mina Mas'ud, I've never heard of her. I know she was in a Power Ranger movie or something. I have no idea. She is part English, her father is from the UK, and her mother is of Gujarati Indian descent. And apparently that makes her Princess Jasmine. People expected me to be quite furious about this, or quite annoyed or irritated, but to be completely honest, I remain indifferent. I don't think brown people are interchangeable. However, we still have no idea what this movie is. We don't know what the script is like. We don't know if it's based on the Aladdin animated movie from 1992. We really have no idea. I will have a strong opinion on Naomi Scott being cast as Princess Jasmine once I see the film. Because if they have made Princess Jasmine an Indian princess in Agrabah, then that's kind of okay. But if Naomi Scott has been cast to play an Arab princess, then it's ridiculous, then it's stupid, then it makes no sense, because it is definitely a missed opportunity for a female Arab actress. I just think it's bizarre that the original casting call asked for actors of Middle Eastern descent because these characters are Middle Eastern, and then they decided to cast Naomi Scott. It makes no sense in my head. Is Princess Jasmine supposed to be Indian? Is she supposed to be half Indian? Is she supposed to be Arab, but Naomi Scott is playing her? It just doesn't add up. I guess we'll just wait and see. I have no other feelings that I can express about that situation, really. And then they announced that Will Smith will be playing the genie. Now, funnily enough, I have the most issue with this casting. And I'm not saying that the genie has to be played by an Arab. That makes no sense, because the genie is like a magical being, creature thing. So he's beyond race or creed or whatever. But I just think if they were gonna go for someone who was in tune with young people and was funny, like Will Smith is kind of, they really should have gone for Jamie Foxx as opposed to Will Smith. I guess Will Smith is kind of like a Robin Williams of our day. I don't know. Will Smith is an okay actor. He's funny and entertaining, but he's funny and entertaining in the same exact way, no matter what movie he's in. I love The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I love Bad Boys, I love Independence Day, I love Men in Black, I like Hitched. However, it's the same kind of Will Smith comedy we see in all of these different movies, so I'm not really interested to see Will Smith being a genie. I want to see a genie who is funny and layered and interesting, played by a good actor who I don't think is Will Smith. Sorry, but not sorry. Jamie Foxx, on the other hand, is amazing. He can sing. He can really sing. Will Smith can't sing. Will Smith is a rapper. How is he gonna do the Prince Ali song, which is one of my favorite songs in the film, by rapping? Then again, I think Robin Williams wasn't a singer, but he kind of sang that song unless they had a voiceover. I don't know, whatever. I just think Jamie Foxx would be better. Did you guys see Jamie Foxx on Jimmy Fallon's show when he played that weird singing game and he had to sing Rihanna's Bitch Better Have My Money in opera style? He was amazing. I literally watched that clip about 30 times. Moving right along. Now, the most important character in this whole film is, of course, the villain. It's Jafar. Disney villains are iconic. We love them and we hate them. We always know their lines. We always know their songs. They're just amazing. My two all-time favorite Disney villains are Scar from The Lion King. Some people say there's quite a resemblance between me and Scar. I even have a scar right here. And of course, Jafar. He's so intellectual and sophisticated and elegant and terribly evil. Deliciously terribly evil. I just think he's great. At one point, there were rumors that they were auditioning Tom Hardy to play the role of Jafar, and I almost punched myself in the face 50 times when I heard that. Don't get me wrong, I love Tom Hardy. He's a brilliant actor. The Revenant, amazing. Bane, brilliant. Mad Max, wow. You cannot fault Tom Hardy as an actor, but Jafar, he is not. Jafar, he should never be, because Jafar is Arab and Tom Hardy is not. It's quite simple, people. So obviously I sighed relief and I wiped my brow when they announced that they had cast Marwan Kenzari, who is a Tunisian Dutch actor, to play Jafar. Apparently he can sing, which is great, and women are obsessed with him because he has abs. Whatever. So now that you have all of this information, all of my thoughts, I wanted to end with something really important. I've also read and heard that the vision for this live action film of Aladdin is going to be this fusion musical where Bollywood and Arabia meet. I think that's a terrible idea. In fact, I think it's silly. And to quote Ross Geller,
enough of the silliness.
I have no problem or no issue with cross genres or mixing different kinds of influences that might not necessarily make sense. I think a lot of writers and directors do that brilliantly with really interesting results. However, in this case, I don't think it makes sense. Right now, the world is very confused about what is Arab. People are confused that there are different kinds of Arabs. People don't understand the difference between Arabs and Iranians, between the Middle East and India, between Arabs and Indians. To them, it's all the same thing, and it's not the same thing. So I really think that within this context, if you're trying to create something from a specific place, make sure that the representations, the visual representations and the cultural representations are of that place. I think that's kind of a fair statement. I think a lot of us, probably specifically me, are pinning our hopes on this specific film. We want to see something different. We want to see a positive representation of Middle Easterns and Arabs, of ourselves, up there on the big screen. We don't want to see something that's negative and vilified. I want to take my god kids to this film and I want them to walk out not questioning or being brainwashed. I want them to walk out thinking that was really cool. I want to walk out thinking that was really cool. I understand that the villain, Jafar, has to be evil. That's cool. We want a villain. But I don't want to see the hero to be representing the West. And I think that's what the Disney animated film did. Obviously, we don't know what the script of this film is. We don't know what it's going to be. It all depends on the screenwriter of the film. So I did a bit of research and I found that the screenwriter of the film was John August, who I am a fan of. John August has a podcast with Craig Mazin, another scriptwriter, called Script Notes. I've been listening to it for a very long time. I think it's great. I recommend any writer who's a novelist or a scriptwriter or a playwright or whatever to listen to it. I learned a lot from it personally. He's also done some great movies. He's written the script for Big Fish, which I think was based on a novel. He did the script for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the remake with Johnny Depp. He's just a very well-spoken, articulate, very successful guy. So obviously John August is an Arab, and I'm not saying that the writer of this movie needs to be an Arab. That's just ridiculous. But the scriptwriter, John August in this case, needs to have an understanding or an awareness of how Arabs have been depicted in movies in the past. He needs to have an understanding, even if it's a very brief one, of the nuances of stereotype and potential racism and whitewashing that this film could potentially do. He needs to also understand that this film, for a lot of us, could push us forward or pull us back. And I thought that John August should know that, so I emailed him. It was a very lovely email because I'm a very lovely, nice young man. I haven't heard back and I don't really think I will, to be honest, but I'm glad I did it. Anyway, so who knows? So here's my final thought for all of you guys to think about. In the end of the day, it doesn't even matter who they cast as Aladdin or Princess Jasmine or Iago or the Flying Carpet. They all could be white, they all could be Indian or Arab, or they all could be cats. That would be so weird if they were cats, right? If the lyrics to songs, if the dialogue, if the story itself is depicting Arabs in a very vilified, negative, stereotypical, racist, offensive manner, then what's the point? What's the point if you have an Arab actor at the helm of this film? He, she, they would just be there personifying and reaffirming these very negative stereotypes of Arabs that have become commonplace in pop culture and in the media. The root of it all is the written word. All other elements matter, of course. The music, the atmosphere, the set, the actors, the ambiance. But really, it comes down to the story. Storytelling is so vital here. Just goes to show how powerful the written word is, guys. And it's a lot of pressure for everyone involved. Good luck, guys. Anyway, that's it for me. That's all of my thoughts. and ideas and ramblings on this issue. I think the next time I'll be talking about this is when the movie comes out and I watch it, so I guess stay tuned for that. What are your feelings? What are your opinions? What are your ideas about what I just said? Agree, disagree, yes, no? And you can reach me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under MAAN Jalal, or go onto my website, maanofthehour.com. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah? Ciao!
If someone were to ask me why I am so obsessed with stories and tales and reading, I guess the easy answer would be because I'm a writer.
I'm gonna go have some baklava now, and some dates and pomegranates.